Well, folks, there's a ruckus brewing up in the Granite State, New Hampshire. You see, a bunch of them key Democrats have taken it upon themselves to start a write-in campaign for President Biden in their upcoming primary election. The reason? Old Joe decided not to put his name on the ballot, and it's causing quite a stir between the election bigwigs in New Hampshire and them Democratic National Committee folks. They call themselves the Write-in Biden Group, and they're hollerin' on their fancy website about how important it is to write in Joe Biden's name in the 2024 New Hampshire presidential primary. They say it's all about saving a democracy from the clutches of petty party politics. You see, them DNC rules won't let Biden on the primary ballot in New Hampshire, but these Granite State Democrats and them Democrat-leaning independents are rallying to scribble his name in. This Write-in Biden gang ain't no small potatoes. They've got over 100 bigwigs from New Hampshire's Democratic and independent circles, including them state lawmakers and former party honchos. Now, let me give you the lay of the land. A while back, the DNC came up with a plan to shuffle the order of them states in their 2024 primary show, putting South Carolina up front, then New Hampshire, Nevada a week later, and finally Michigan. They argued that South Carolina had more diversity than Iowa and New Hampshire, the usual suspects for the first-in-the-nation caucus and primary. I reckon them moderate types and them MAGA folks didn't take too kindly to it. Iowa finally buckled under pressure and gave up its first-in-the-nation status after some back and forth with the DNC. But New Hampshire, well, they ain't budgin' an inch. It's a point of pride for 'em, you see, and they even got it written into their state law that their primary must be a full week ahead of any others. Now, they're looking at January for their 2024 primary, and they're dead set on being the first state in the nation to cast their votes. But here's the kicker, Biden's name won't be on that ballot. His campaign played coy and missed the deadline to get on there, blammin' them new DNC rules for the mess. Julie Chavez Rodriguez, Biden's campaign manager, sent a letter saying that he's gotta follow them DNC rules, or some such. New Hampshire's Secretary of State, David Scanlon, said he saw it comin', but still found it mighty disappointin'. In the 2020 Democratic primaries, Biden didn't do too well in Iowa and New Hampshire, finishing in 4th and 5th, but South Carolina was his savior. Scanlon, he's standin' up firm, sayin' that New Hampshire has been the purest form of democracy in the presidential nominating process for over a century, and they ain't given that up without a fight. Now, they're sayin' them write-in ballots are gonna be counted by hand, but they ain't sweatin' it, they'll round up more folks to help. And if voters mess up them write-in names, town moderators are gonna have to figure out what the voter meant. Seems like quite the hassle, if you ask me. This write-in Biden shindig is happenin' hot on the heels of Representative Dean Phillips from Minnesota talking a long shot at the Democratic nomination and focusing right on New Hampshire. Then you got that Marianne Williamson, she's talking another stab at it, just like in 2020. And don't forget Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who started as a Democrat but decided to ride the independent trail. Now, mind you, this write-in Biden crew ain't tied to Biden's re-election campaign or the DNC, and they ain't bad-mouthin' the president for skippin' the New Hampshire primary. Instead, they're singin' his praises and sayin' it's all about protectin' a democracy, not party politics or them wayward DNC rules. They're sayin', we in New Hampshire have said all along that whatever the DNC does, NH will follow its law and have the first presidential primary. Well, we're having the first in the nation primary, and now it's up to us to show the nation and world that Joe Biden is the president we need to protect our freedom. Ain't that a hoot?